नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्. Om. Dear friends, we are in this Adi Parva. We are just seeing the episode where this Dhritarashtra, along with, after conspiring with this Duryodhana and others, he is trying to send away these Pandavas to a far off place called Varanavata. And there the idea is to allow them to live for some time and to set fire to that inflammable house. I was talking about an inflammable house, that Jatugruha. Jatugruha means that inflammable house. And it will look as though it is an accident. So that way he wants to get rid of these Pandavas, this Duryodhana and Dhritarashtra, the evil four. The evil four go to this Dhritarashtra. And Dhritarashtra, as I said, is already in a receptive mode, and he says yes. So that is what is happening. So we see this chapter number 141. Initially Dhritarashtra, because he is an old man, he is also a seasoned person. We talk about what is called a seasoned crook. So that seasoned person, he is also bothered about public opinion. Duryodhana is not much bothered about public opinion, whereas this Dhritarashtra is bothered about public opinion. So he says, Dharma nitya sada pandu tatha dharmaparayana. And again, he is somebody who is also liked by the people. What should we do? And after all, he is a good man also. How to do that? So, but then Duryodhana says, yes, I know all that. Evam etanmaya tata bhavitam dosham atmani. Yes, what all you say is right. But I have already won over all these important people. Sarvaha arthamanena pujitaha. In fact, I have already purchased lot many people, and I have also promised. Manena means I have already made some promises and also respected them, went to them, and then by all means of humility and whatnot, I have won over several people. In fact, even crooked people sometimes, very often, they show so much of humility. So that is what this gentleman is saying. And Duryodhana. Now Dhritarashtra says, yes, I totally agree with you. Mamapyetat hrudi samparivartate. In fact, my mind also tells the same. But then I was only afraid of telling. When this man says, Duryodhana says, yes, we have to get rid of them, Dhritarashtra says, even my mind tells the same, but then I was afraid to tell it out. Then they evaluate, this Duryodhana and Bhishma, this Dhritarashtra, they evaluate who are our friends and who are our enemies. They first talk about the elders, that is like Bhishma, Drona, etc. So Duryodhana says, Madhyasthas satatam Bhishma. Bhishma is somebody who is a neutral. Bhishma, Drona, etc., the Krupacharya, those three people, they are totally neutral in the sense that they have equal love for Kauravas and Pandavas. And in fact, there is a slightly more interest in Pandavas because they are on the right path. And they want to teach a lesson to these people. Though they are on the side of the fight, on the side of Kauravas, they know that they are going to die. In fact, they want to die actually. They want to die in the sense, having been employees, having been employed by these people, their duty, their dharma is that they have to fight on behalf of Kauravas. So as a matter of dharma, they are on this side. But then in their hearts, they are on the other side. So that is what is the dilemma, that is their dilemma, unfortunate situation for them. So this Duryodhana says, yes, Bhishma, Drona, etc., they may be on our side, but then they are neutral. And the Krupacharya is also like that. And now all other people like the Karna and Dushasana. Karna, of course, Karna is a very good friend. So he only needed Karna in order to counter Arjuna. So when he got Karna, he is now feeling all powerful because Duryodhana feels that he can take care of Bhima. So that is how they think. They evaluate who are the friends and who are, what is our strength and all that. Then Duryodhano Raja Sarva Prakrutayasyanaihi. So Vyasa is describing how he won over all the people. And Dharmaraja also knew what was in the offing, and he was also helpless. Dhritarashtrasya tam kamam anubudhya yudhishthiraha. He knew, he came to know of that. And atmanascha asahayatvam. He was also aware of his own helplessness. Asahayatvam. Asahaya means he didn't have friends because this Duryodhana had access to all the money. Duryodhana being the emperor's son, though this Dhrutara Dharmaraja was outwardly Yuvaraja, but this gentleman, he is already in touch with the treasury, he is in touch with all important people, and he has won over. So Asahaya means he had no associates. The Dharmaraja had no associates. So he merely went to Bhishma, Drona, etc. He had no other option. So he went to them, bowed to them. Yudhishthira Shanair Dinaha Uvachedam Vachastada. So okay, we are now asked to go. Our father has asked us to go to that place Varanavata. You please bless us. So you only wish us, you give your good wishes to us. So that is what he says. Dhritara, Ashirbhi Brumhitan Asman. Ashirbhi Brumhitan Asman means your blessings will be our great strength. You please bless us. So these people, Bhishma, Drona, etc., they say, yes, all our blessings are with you. Okay, fine, that's all. So thereafter, Duryodhana, he has got an evil plan. Duryodhana has already got that inflammable material, that building built, and the builder was a person called Purochana. A fellow called Purochana. He is a nice architect, and he has made a beautiful mansion. And that beautiful mansion, he furnished it elaborately, very exquisitely. And this Purochana is personally sent to take care of all the needs of these Pandavas. So on the pretext of providing all comforts to Pandavas, this man also goes there, and then every day he is attending on Pandavas. So their idea is just to make Pandavas comfortable in that place. And when the people are comfortable, say for a few months or something like that, and after they are so totally comfortable, then on one fine night, you have to set fire to the house and come away. So that was the plan. So this Duryodhana briefs that Purochana, oh, you have to do this, you are my best friend, he says. Gruhitva dakshine panavu sachivam vakyam abravit. So he held his hand. This Purochana also seems to be not only an architect, but also a very, very trusted friend of Duryodhana. So he holds his hand and then said, oh, my dear friend, you are a very, very dear friend to me. You see, this kingdom is yours, he says. Earlier also he had told Karna, this kingdom is yours, you command me. So something like that he is saying. Mameyam vasusampurna purochana vasundhara. This Vasundhara, this earth, this kingdom is mine. And you, this yatha iyam mama tadvatte, just as this land is mine, it is also yours. It is also yours. That means you will have what all you want, you will have. So that is what he says. And that fool also, he says, okay, fine. And that fool also is ready to play the game. And he goes there. And there is such a beautiful building they made, and the Pandavas also, they go there. And while the Pandavas go, this Vidura, we know that Vidura is a very, very wise person. Vidura is again the same son of sage Vyasa. To sage Vyasa, there were three sons, that is, one is Dhritarashtra, the other is Panduraja, the other is Vidura, if you just recall that old story. And this Vidura is a minister, a very, very wise man, and he is actually the incarnation of the god of justice, I told yesterday also. And that Vidura, he is also a very, very intelligent man. Just by seeing the body language of all these people, he guessed that there was something wrong, and he guessed that these people are trying to set fire to that house. So probably he also knew the background of this Purochana. So while these people are going, all the citizens are unhappy. All the citizens, in fact, this Vyasa describes that all the citizens, they say, how is this king, why is this king doing such a foolish thing? And why are these big people like Bhishma, Drona, Vidura, and Adharmyam idam atyantam katham Bhishmo anumanyate, katham Bhishmaha anumanyate? How is Bhishma approving all these adharma? And what else? What are the other people doing? So the people are talking like that. Just like the ordinary people now, we also talk about a lot of adharma which is taking place, but unfortunately we cannot do anything. So that is what these people are also like that. They are also people who are helpless, and people's opinion doesn't count. And these people, Duryodhana, he is playing his game. And in fact, the people also say, no, we will vacate our houses and we will leave our houses and go along with Yudhishthira. like the people told in Ramayana. And this Yudhishthira convinces them, no, no, you have to stay back, etc. And at that time, this Vidura, a wise person who guessed what was going on, he advised this Dharmaraja. And when it seems it so happened that there were not many people around, so, or at least some people around. So Vidura spoke in a sort of what we call an encrypted language. Nowadays we talk about coded language or encrypted language. So here also he says, pragnya pralapagnya vidam vachah. So there is a shloka here in this chapter number 144, which says, so he knew how to speak, and he spoke in a Mlecha Bhasha. Mlecha Bhasha means something outside India in those days. Mlechas were people who were outside India. That Mlecha Bhasha also he spoke in a sort of coded fashion. And nowadays, even now, people we use, if I want to use a particular word, instead of using the same letters in the word, I use some other letters. So some code. So the code has to be cracked. And that is what all our mathematicians and all these people do. So this man also, this Vidura, being a very intelligent man, he spoke in a coded language. And Dharmaraja also is an intelligent man. He also received it. He said, Viduram vidusham shreshtham jnatamityeva Pandava. Jnatam. Yeah, have you understood? He said, who Vidura? Yes, I have understood. So when Vidura spoke to Pandavas in a coded Arjuna to this Yudhishthira, that is Dharmaraja, in a coded language, Kunti and others they were also listening, but then Kunti didn't understand, other people didn't understand. So Kunti asked later, what is it? You see, she was saying, he was saying something to you, what is that? We didn't understand. So then Yudhishthira says, Gruhad agnischa bodhavyah itimam viduro bravit. Yeah, there is a danger of fire, setting fire to your house. So that is what Vidura was indicating, and we have to be very, very careful. So when these people they then with all that alertness they go to that place. We go to the next chapter 145, and when they go to that Varanavata, you see what Pandavas do. Pandavas they visit all important people. In fact, this is actually the etiquette. The present day etiquette is actually described in our books also. Or rather, what was there in those days is probably the etiquette which is being followed even now. So you see here, Jagmura, you see these people, Nagaradhikrutanancha Gruhani Rathinam Tada, he says, where these people they visited all the important peoples, all the VIPs houses in those places, in that city. That is basically making friends. Even now, the general rule is, suppose you are a high-placed bureaucrat. When you are a high-placed bureaucrat, when you go to a new place, you have to visit whoever are the existing officers. You have to visit the houses of the existing, the officers who are already present there, so that they will brief you about what is about this place and all that. So this is exactly what they did. They called on. It is called calling on. You have to call on so many people when you go to a new place. So that is what these people did, and then they are also keeping a watch about that house. So Bhima's response was, why should we stay in this house? We will as well get out and we will stay in some other place. Yudhishthira, Dharmaraja says, no, you should not do like that, because Bhima is a rather impulsive man. So Yudhishthira says, no, let us stay here only. Let us make this Purochana feel that we are trusting him. This Purochana is the agent of Duryodhana. Let this Purochana feel that we are totally happy, we are gullible, and then let the fellow feel that we are all gullible and we are all very happy. But then at the same time we will keep a watch. And luckily their house is in the outskirts of that town. And in those days, outskirts means almost all forest only. So they went out all along the day. They just went out on the pretext of hunting. On the pretext of hunting, they just went out. And when they went out, they did a thorough recce. Recce means reconnaissance, as we call it. They did a thorough recce of all the surroundings, the entire forest area. They did a recce, and they also chose places from where they can come out. what are the places, in fact, if we want to escape, where exactly can we go, and from there how we can go, how we can escape. So all the escape routes they were planning, and they were also planning to dig a sort of tunnel from the house. They bhaumam cha bilam adyaiva karavama susamvrutam, he says. Bhaumam cha bilam. Bilam means a cave. Bilam actually means a cave. So you have to dig a tunnel and then a sort of cave underground, like during the World War and all that, even great leaders, they hid in bunkers, they hid themselves in bunkers because that was the threat of bombs and all that. So like that, we have to create some bunkers, not exactly bunker, it is a cave, it is a tunnel, a long tunnel, which will have some openings here and there for air passages, and which will open up in somewhere in the dense jungle where nobody can notice. So such thing they were planning. And meanwhile, Vidura also, he sent one person, Vidurasya suhrut kaschit khanakah kushalo naraha. There is a person called a khanaka. Khanaka, the very name itself means a digger. A person, he was a professional tunnel digger, let us say. So Vidura sent a professional tunnel digger to them. So obviously Bhima is a very strong man, and that probably Bhima also could have helped. So they dug a long tunnel. Like that is the reason why in several places we see tunnels. Several places we see, okay, just there is a hole and then it goes where it goes, nobody knows. So in several places, where in several old centers. So like that, now they come to know that Purochana, that Khanaka also conveys a message. Khanaka, when that person, that digger comes, he also identifies himself in a code language. There is a code word given by that Vidura, and then he conveys that code word, so that is proving the credentials. So in those days also, that sort of, what we can say, precautions, tech precautions they call it. Tech precautions means you are not supposed to expose yourself, technical precautions. So these are the tech precautions. So he took those precautions. So then, kinchicha vidurainoktaha mlecha vachasi Pandava. So that mlecha vacha, he conveyed certain thing. And thereafter, he also told, on this particular night, this fellow is likely to set fire to your house. So then, on that day, they planned a huge dinner. On that night, they planned a huge dinner, and then they invited many people. And then it so happened, on that night, there was a rain also. When there was a rain, there were some people who had come from far off places, they stayed there only. Particularly five youth, along with their mother, they stayed there only. So it happened like that. Then, after that, what happened? On the same night, this Bhima, when all the people, they slept, the Purochana was also there in his room. Purochana, of course, he was actually their caretaker. Purochana was like a caretaker. So when that fellow caretaker was also there, Bhima took that initiative, and then he himself set fire to that, first of all to Purochana's room, and then to the rest of the house. And then meanwhile, these people, they were already in the cave, in that tunnel. So he takes all those people, and they just escaped. And then where did they go? They escaped into that particular some dense jungle area. So then, when the house was burnt, all the people they rushed to in the very early morning. And of course, in the night they could not do anything. All the villages they came, all the town people they came, they saw, and then the house was burnt. And then they all cursed this Dhritarashtra. Oh, they also saw this the bodies of 5 young men, and also that body of a woman. So they thought that it was Kunti, and these people were 5 people were actually the Pandavas, and they felt very much highly aggrieved, and they started cursing this Dhritarashtra, Duryodhana, everybody, and then they also sent messages to those people. And meanwhile, this professional digger, as I said, that professional digger, he took care to conceal that thing. He had dug a tunnel from inside the building, and he had also covered with some planks. So all that area he had filled with ashes. He completely filled with ashes on the same night. On the same night, after the burning was over, he just filled it up and then he took care. So that nobody could notice. Nobody could notice that Pandavas had escaped. So that is what happens. And then Bhima had to physically carry them. Bhima had to physically carry the other people, because the other people, when they went into the jungle, and then in that jungle area, they could not even walk. So Bhima had to take his mother on his shoulders, and then two people tucked under his arms and two people sitting on his shoulders. So usually we see this picture also, Bhima carrying two people sitting on the shoulders and two people tucked in the arms and mother sitting here. So like that, he carries them through the forest. And after some time, they reach that river Ganga, and there near that river Ganga again, Vidura has already kept somebody who is a ferryman, and that ferryman also identifies himself. Everywhere there is a code language. That code language again, that shloka also, Kakshagniha Shishiragnyascha. So that code language he conveys. So Pandaraja, this Dharmaraja also, he identifies him. Then they cross the river and then get into the other side of the river. So that is how they do escape. Then what happens here? This Dhritarashtra is now he is in all tears. He is shedding his tears. Then he says, Nunam Shantanavopi na dharma manuvartate. They are all the people, the citizens, they were all cursing everybody. They were all cursing people like Bhishma and also Shantanava. Shantanava is Bhishma. What is this Bhishma doing? What is this Drona doing? What is Vidura doing? And what are all these people doing? It is such a sinful deed. So they were all cursing. And so like then again, this Dhritarashtra, he says, let us celebrate, not celebrate, let us perform the ceremonies, not celebrate. When people die, there are ceremonies, death ceremonies. And death ceremonies in a very, very grand manner. So you see, Udakam Panduputranam Dhritarashtro Ambika Sutah Udakam. Udakam is Tilodakam, what we do. So this Dhritarashtra inwardly very happy. For people who have departed, we offer what is called Tilodakam. Tila means that sesame seed. And we also put some water, and then we tell the name of that person, and then they say we give Tilodakam. And with this Udakam, you be happy, and then you please go to higher worlds. You go to some good lokas. Loka means that heavenly worlds. So wishing them all heavenly worlds, we offer some water and then that sesame seed. So he did all that thing. He says, Karayantu cha kulyani shubhani cha bruhanti cha. So all these arrangements have to be very, very grand. So with all such grand arrangements, they gave Tilodakas and all that. And some people, they cried. The people, they cried. Ha Yudhishthira Kauravya, Ha Bhima iti chapare. They all said, oh, how Yudhishthira, oh Bhima, oh Arjuna, etc., etc. They all cried. And of course, what was Bhishma's role? What was Bhishma doing? And of course, here, the text, there are two versions in the text. One is the critical edition of Mahabharata. We know that there is what is called a critical edition of Mahabharata. People sat for a long, long time, more than about 50, 60 years ago. Many scholars, they sat and then they sat on this text for years and years. They prepared a critical edition. In that critical edition, there is no mention of Bhishma. But in the southern recension, there is a text in South India. In that South India's text, there is a mention about Bhishma. Bhishma is just not able to digest that Pandavas have died. In his heart of hearts, he thinks that Pandavas have not died, because all the rishis, all the sages, sage Vyasa has been telling these people are going to be the king, the Dharmaraja is going to be the Chakravarti, etc. So they cannot die because they are such intelligent people, such wise people. So that is what he was thinking. And he also asks Vidura, have they really died? So Vidura then tells Bhishma, no, they have not died. My information is that they have escaped. So that is what Vidura says. And Vidura and Bhishma, internally they are happy. And that is the reason why Bhishma did not give Tilodaka. That is what the southern text says. The general critical edition of Mahabharata is silent about it. This critical edition does not talk about Bhishma giving Tilodaka. It is only talking about Tilodaka's by Dhritarashtra and others. Udakam Panduputranam Dhritarashtro Ambikasutah. So Dhritarashtra along with his sons and all those people made grand arrangements and then gave Tilodaka. So anyway, that is what happens. Then after they enter the dense jungle, they are just unable to walk, and as I said, Bhimasena was carrying all the people on his shoulders. Then they go to a very dense jungle. By that time, it was actually the evening of the next day. So that means on the earlier night, there was the setting of fire. And in the midnight itself, they escaped. In the midnight, they escaped, and then they walked through the jungle. And again, obviously, on the next morning also, when they crossed this river Ganga, again they walked in the jungle, and probably all through the day, and then they reached a particular place. They reached some place which was again a very dense spot, dense jungle, and there they were all totally tired. They were totally tired, and then this Bhimasena and this lady, this Kunti, was so totally tired. She started saying, "What is all this? I am the wife of Panduraja, and I am this, and I have got such great sons like Dharmaraja, Bhima, Arjuna, etc. And again Nakula and Sahadeva. With all this, I am suffering, and there is no water also to drink." Then Yete Ruvanti Madhuram sa. Then they say she was just Kunti was thirsty. There was no water anywhere, and Bhima, when he saw her, he felt very, very sad. Such a great lady, a queen once, now she doesn't even have water. And he says, yes, he looked around, and then he saw the movement of birds. On the night also, when they traveled, Vyasa writes a small point, Vijnaya Nishi Panthanam Nakshatra Gana Suchitam. When they walked through the night, how did they walk in the night? How can you walk in the night unless you have got a compass or unless you have got a GPS? About a few years ago, about 20, 25 years ago, people walked in the jungle with a map and a compass. Then now, we walk with the help of a GPS. In olden days, what was the GPS? There was no GPS, there was no compass. So they used to see the stars. So they had a knowledge of this. They had some knowledge of the stars. So on this particular night, so this star is to the south, and this star in this particular line of stars, this is the south, this is the north, etc., etc. So nakshatra gana suchitam. By observing the stars and also the position of the moon, they walked. So this is again a very important thing. In fact, this is something which is taught to the commandos, the commando training. When even now, suppose the commando loses the GPS or anything, then how will he go? So he has to have some knowledge of stars. So this is again, such small things are also mentioned in Mahabharata. Then they go, and then the Kunti feels thirsty, and now Bhima looks around, and again he observes some birds. The birds, the sound of birds in a particular direction. So obviously in that particular direction there must be some water. So he goes in that particular direction to get water. So we'll stop here. We'll see what happens to Bhima tomorrow. Harihi Om Tat Sat.